I've been doing cold email for 9 years now. And in the last few weeks, I think I made the biggest progress that I've made so far. And this is what we're going to talk about in this video. So there's a lot of content out there about cold email, and everyone keeps claiming that it works so well for them and all of these things. And the reality is, I have worked with 5 different agencies in terms of like internally, and now it's my own agency. I also have seen other B2B companies that are like super high manufacturers, high average order value, like things of that nature. And I would say cold email works for about 1% of the people who claim that it works for them. And it's just, yeah, you get replies, but a lot of people get some replies, but never any calls. And there can be a million different things wrong with it. And I also think that a lot of people focus on the wrong things, which is, oh, like you should, like your copywriting is like XYZ. And yes, copywriting has a big impact on this, but I think I found the formula. I've been like getting close to it, but there was like one missing piece. And recently I had a call with some guys who have a really big cold email agency, and they were trying to sell me their solution. And I found out during that call what I've been missing, and I will just build it out myself, honestly. So that thing is data enrichment. So maybe if you're watching this video, maybe this is not super new to you, or maybe you don't know what data enrichment is. So we're going to talk about that, like what that actually is. So let me just go through some of the things that I think are important for cold emails. So let's just assume that you sell, I don't know, lead generation services to some kind of agencies. Let's just keep that as an example, English-speaking countries. So for example, recently I had a client who does cold email in Italy. And for them, for example, it's a different story because we want to appear as Italian as possible. There are countries that I think are not native English speaking, but you can get away with, like maybe Sweden or Netherlands, like you can get away with .com email addresses and speaking in English in the emails. But in general, you want to be as localized as possible, right? So if you send cold emails in Italy, you should probably buy domains that end with a .it. The second thing is the tool that you should use. So there's a lot of tools out there. Everyone uses kind of different ones. In my opinion, Instantly is the best one. There's going to be I'm also affiliated with them, by the way, but I don't really get too much. We're not going to get rich from Instantly referrals on this channel, but there will be a link where you can get better pricing, etc. I'm also affiliated with all the other cold email tools like customer.io and all of these other ones. But in my opinion, for this kind of purpose, I think Instantly will work best. And also another thing that I like about it is it keeps things simple. Customer.io is good if you also want to reach out on LinkedIn and all of these complicated things, which can be good, but this video will focus on just purely cold email, okay? So with that being the case, you got Instantly. And the third thing, which is again about these domains, is this is really stupid, and so many email providers go through or tell you, Hotmail, like, oh, like we place you in the inbox or in the spam folder based on your user engagement and all of these complicated metrics. Whereas the reality is a lot of email providers were created in the 90s and they haven't updated themselves ever since, like Hotmail or Outlook, which were made for business people on Madison Avenue to send emails to each other and investment bankers without images and all of these things. So as soon as you put an image or a link in an email, Outlook will almost immediately put you in spam or promotions or whatever. And almost even more importantly, so the domain, like whether it ends with .io, like all of these create .agency, don't do this. Just always get a domain that ends with a .com. It's just something that I noticed. So I've been doing this for 9 years. Like .com will outperform all the other domains, even if it's a weird domain like the company name at address, like something super long, but it ends with a .com, it's going to be better, okay? So that's the third thing. Fourth thing, what should be the fourth thing? No links. Please, no links in your cold emails, because as soon as there's a link, even like, you don't need to write unsubscribe. Like I tried all of those things as well. Reply stop to not receive emails from us in the future. Like, well, not necessary, okay? They will, like, there's a feature in Instantly that says stop emails on reply. If someone replies with anything, it's going to stop sending emails, which is good because if you get a positive reply, then, you should just reply to them, which, by the way, instantly is great again, because it gives you this Unibox feature where, let's say I have 20 email domains in terms of like sending emails from 20, and the next point is going to be about like how many emails you should send from one email domain. So for example, let's say theburgerking.com is your domain because there's a Burger King over there. So that's the first thing that came to my mind. Theburgerking.com. So you can have like ben@theburgerking.com. That's one email domain. Eric@theburgerking.com. Like that's the same like website or same domain, but it's a different email domain. Okay. So that counts as 2. So yeah, again, the next one is going to be how many you should send. Don't need to write the unsubscribe. No links, please. Yeah, and then let's also move on to the next point. I think point 5, hopefully. Hopefully I didn't miscalculate. So you should at the beginning. So first of all, you should do like an email warm-up, which you can do on Instantly. And after it's warmed up, it takes usually 2 weeks. You can buy these like done for you email setup. So you don't need to do this whole shit with G Suite and DMark setup and like all of these things. Instantly can do this for you, okay? Which is great. It also gives you like an auto redirect. So when you buy this domain, theburgerking.com, instantly allows you to, like when people put theburgerking.com, obviously this is a bad example, the whatever company name is yours.com, and then they put that into their browser, it will automatically forward to your actual domain. So you can have that feature in there, which I think is really good. And after it's warmed up for 2 weeks with the Instantly's warm-up feature, in my opinion, you should send 30 emails a day max from one email domain. Why? Because technically the limit is 50. You should definitely not send more than 50. But again, I would start with 30 just because I want to have as little bounces as possible. Point number 6, do a bounce verification. So I use Million Verifier. I also used the Use Bouncer in the past. Both of them work in my opinion. They're very similar pricing. So use whichever. It's actually expensive to verify your domains, but just to give you some rough ideas. So let's say if I buy 10,000 email addresses, which again, you can use Instantly, you can use Apollo, you can use places like BuiltWith or StoreLeads to actually get the email addresses. In the past, you had to get the yellow pages or whatever, but now you can just download these lists, whatever is your niche. Instantly is like a decent place to start. But with that being the case, for example, we target e-commerce businesses, in which case StoreLeads is the best. Using Instantly AI company finder or lead finder, it's going to be, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 times worse than just build StoreLeads, because StoreLeads is the best one for e-commerce brands. Actually, let's take a quick check for now. So you've got your email list with whatever tool. You have your email domains, which you can do with Instantly. You write only, in my opinion, maximum 10 lines, but even the less, the better. So this is the copywriting point 7 or 8 at this point. It should be just, in my opinion, 5 lines, and there should be like 1 sentence per paragraph. So 5 paragraphs maximum. It should be like, hey, a compliment or some kind of data enriched thing, which we're going to get onto in a second, about your lead, which should be variable for everyone. So this is the way that we're going to differentiate ourselves from other people, and just and then tell them the hook, what your service actually brings, some kind of elevator pitch like, hey, I don't know, if I could get you 20 more sales calls a month, would it make sense for us to get on a call together? Probably you should get on a call. Something that I like is reply sure if you're open to this. This is a super low effort way for your leads to respond to you something positive, so they don't like to, because people don't like to think. So that's something that I like to use. And then just sign it off with a female name. I like names like Valentina, for example. I think it's just a nice name. And people are just, chances are like, how do I say this? People are just, statistically, there's been many studies done, respond more often if a female someone that identifies as a female reaches out to them via cold email. It's just, you just get more replies, whether you like it or not. If you want to add an extra touch, send from my iPhone at the bottom of it. Okay. So let's go to the main point, which is data enrichment. So the key feature that you need with this, like all of this is quite simple, right? Like you get the list, you verify which was point, I don't know which one at this point, was to, you get the email list, you get the email domains, you write basic copy, you reach out, you warm it up, you use instantly, you have some kind of a hook, and you ask for a call, no links. So the most important part of this is that complement, which is going to differentiate you. So how to do this? Because you can download the list with these like store leads or instantly AI, and it does provide you with some kind of data enrichment, but it's super basic with these tools. So you got to use something like Clay, which is an AI tool for data enrichment, but at scale, it gets expensive. And also everyone else is using it. So your compliments, let's say, for example, the way that someone reached out to us is, hey, Ben, you made over $1.5 million within 3 months for a home decor brand. Impressive. And I was like, how do they know that? How did they know that? Which is something that is on our website, by the way. So that's how they got it. And they use Clay, and then they put this CSV file into Clay and then told Clay, hey, based on the domain of this website or of this lead, create some kind of a complement that we can tell them via email. And then it gives you another column in the sheet with like complements. And then this, you can add this as a custom variable to instantly. And then you can use that in your emails, like in the first sentence, just like the way you use, hey, first name, for example. And you kind of have to refine this. But also, so I looked into Clay, and in my opinion, it's too expensive at scale. Like if you want to reach out to more than, I don't know, 2,000 leads a month, or 5,000 maybe, I think was the number where we got to. So what I built instead is the following. So you get the leads, you get the CSV file, and then you use an app which you can have on your MacBook, which is Cursor, Cursor, Cursor. I don't know how to pronounce, honestly, which is like a good tool for vibe coding. You can also do this with Claude, but I just did it with Cursor. So you have that. You get Firecrawl, which is a data scraping tool. And then you can combine the two. And then you also need an OpenAI credits. So that's not ChatGPT credits, it's like OpenAI, which uses ChatGPT. So you need these different components, because what's going to happen is you upload the CSV file to Cursor, and then you're going to connect Cursor to the Firecrawl API. It's actually more simple than what I'm explaining right now for all this vibe coding. And you also add your API key from OpenAI so that it can write the copy, because OpenAI copy is the best, like ChatGPT or Claude. Whatever. Claude is a different tool again, but yeah, I just use OpenAI, okay? I just like the copy it writes. So you uploaded a file, and then you run a test of run it for the first 10 domains. And then you can have a fallback of, okay, if you couldn't find anything, then write this. Another thing, which I think is really cool, is you can actually create 3 additional columns. So, hey, write 3 different complements. Yeah. And then you can then have another one, which will select, hey, OpenAI, look at these 3 different, it could be a compliment, it could be, I don't know, something that their founder did on LinkedIn, or it could be like 3 different enriched information about this company. And then you can have another one which selects the best one out of the 3, because it's not going to automatically select. It can be like 3 different prompts for the 3 different types of unique thing about that brand. So it can be a compliment based on their website. It could be something that the owner did recently, which they posted on LinkedIn, or maybe something like that. And then it could be some kind of a publishment, or a customer review, or some kind of social proof element, which again, you have to scrape from the website. And then in different situations with different websites are different, like About Us page, maybe people have more or less information on there. Then you can have OpenAI select which one is the most likely to make the founder of this company smile. And then it's going to select the best one. And then you just select the best one. So there's a lot of things that you can do this way if you build it custom made. It's a little bit more work up front to set it up. But now, for example, I have this set up in Cursor, and the other day I went to play football, but my laptop was open in my living room, and this thing was working. It's like someone that works. For example, the first time that I did it, I reached 700 leads, and it took 5 hours, which honestly I was happy about. You can reduce how much time it spends on this, but I was happy about it because it's like, okay, so it's doing actual research. Like it does go through the website, and it takes a minute per lead, or it was something like this. So that's what I've been working on. And yeah, this I think is the main thing that is missing from a lot of cold email companies. If you're interested in us setting this up for you, it's too much headache, you have a lot of things to do, and it's quite complicated to do this vibe coding, then there's going to be a link. You can schedule a call with me. You can reach me on wherever. There's going to be a bunch of links in the video, so you can reach out and we can talk about how we could help set this up for you, because we did it for many companies. And if you want to get more leads for whatever business you're in through cold email. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and see you in the next video.